He couldn't believe his eyes. A simple act of kindness was about to change everything. But what happens next? A $1 million opportunity, a life-changing decision, and an unexpected partnership. But that's just the beginning. What happens when a struggling single dad meets a millionaire ready to offer him a chance to change his life? Let's discover how a flat tire on a cold autumn morning became the turning point for Ryan Miller, and how Samantha Reed's simple act sparked a chain of events that would forever change their lives.
On a chilly autumn morning, the mist wove through the narrow streets like a quiet whisper. Ryan Miller, a struggling single father, tried to stick to his schedule, but his old sedan had other plans. The engine sputtered in protest each time he pressed the gas pedal. In the back seat, Olivia Miller, his 8-year-old daughter, leaned back, humming a tune to herself. Her curly hair was tied into pigtails, swaying gently with the bumpy ride. Next to her, the oversized backpack, too big for her small frame, sat beside her, almost swallowing her up. She nibbled on a peanut butter sandwich, the hasty breakfast Ryan had managed to make in the whirlwind of their morning routine. Ryan stole a glance in the rearview mirror. Olivia's smile cut through the fog in his mind like a warm light. "Ready for your big math test today, kiddo?" Olivia nodded confidently. "Yup, Mrs. Cruz says I'm really good at fractions." Ryan chuckled. "Well, you're ahead of me. I can barely figure out the bills." His joke fell flat, though. The reality of their financial situation weighed heavily on him. Between part-time shifts at the diner and odd jobs that came and went like the wind, money was always tight. The radiator in their small apartment had been broken for a week. Olivia's shoes had holes in them, and the car was one breakdown away from leaving us stranded. But then, Ryan furrowed his brow when he saw a glossy black sedan parked by the side of the road, its hazard lights flashing in the cold, early morning mist. A woman stood there, her phone pressed to her ear, pacing back and forth with an anxious demeanor. Even from a distance, Ryan could tell she wasn't just any woman. Her coat, perfectly tailored, her leather boots spotless, and the confidence in her posture marked her as someone from a completely different world. "Daddy, what happened to her car?" Olivia Miller asked curiously, leaning against the window. "Flat tire," Ryan replied, his voice lowering. He glanced at the clock. Stopping to help would make him late for work, but leaving someone stranded on the side of the road, he couldn't ignore that. Ryan sighed, slowly pulling the car to the side. "Stay in the car, Em. I'll be right back." He opened the trunk and pulled out an old, rusted toolbox. The faint light caught the rust on its surface. As he walked toward the woman, he had no idea that he was about to help a millionaire, and that this moment would change his life forever. Olivia nodded, her eyes following curiously as her dad opened the trunk and pulled out a toolbox, its paint chipped and speckled with rust. Ryan closed the trunk, took a deep breath, and walked toward the woman. "Hello," he called out, his voice warm and steady, his breath forming wisps in the crisp air. "Need some help?" The woman turned, startled. Up close, she was even more refined than she appeared from afar, her navy wool coat clinging to her slim figure, her expensive leather boots slightly dusted with gravel, her phone still tightly clenched in her hand. "Oh, yes, thank you so much." Her voice was filled with relief. "I called roadside assistance, but they said it would take hours. I have no idea what to do with this tire." Ryan gave her a friendly, reassuring smile. "Well, you're in luck today. I'm not roadside assistance, but I know how to change a flat tire." She exhaled, the first genuine smile of the day blooming on her face. "Thank you so much. I was on my way to an important meeting, and I have no experience with this kind of thing." "Ryan," he said, extending his hand. His eyes were sincere. "And don't worry, this isn't my first roadside rescue." Samantha Reed, she replied, shaking his hand firmly, though with a hint of hesitation. She wasn't used to relying on strangers. Ryan crouched to inspect the tire. Yep, it's completely flat. Do you have a spare? Samantha Reed hesitated, then gestured toward the trunk. I think so, but I don't even know where it is. No problem, Ryan said, standing and moving to the back of the car. He opened the trunk, revealing a neatly packed spare tire and tools that looked as though they'd never been touched. He shook his head and smiled lightly. Just the kind of car you'd expect from someone in corporate America. As Ryan began arranging the tools, he heard the sound of a car door opening behind him. Olivia Miller, what are you doing out here? Ryan called, his voice a mix of surprise and mild reprimand. She tiptoed over, her eyes sparkling with excitement. I want to help, she replied enthusiastically, quickly running to stand beside the strange woman. Hi, I'm Olivia Miller. My dad's really good at fixing stuff. Samantha Reed looked down at her, a small smile briefly lighting up her face. Hi, Olivia Miller. Your dad really is a kind man. Ryan chuckled as he struggled with the stubborn lug nuts. You hear that, kiddo? Kind. Remember that next time I ask you to clean your room. Olivia Miller giggled softly, and Samantha Reed seemed to relax a little as she witnessed the bond between father and daughter. But changing the tire wasn't as easy as Ryan had thought. The lug nuts were so tight that they wouldn't budge, and the jack didn't fit properly under the car's frame. Dad, do you need my super strength? Olivia Miller asked seriously, raising her skinny arms to flex her muscles. Maybe I do, Ryan chuckled, though sweat had begun to bead on his forehead. This one's more stubborn than I thought. Samantha Reed stepped closer, clearly uncomfortable just standing by. Is there anything I can do to help? Hold the flashlight for me, Ryan said, handing her the small flashlight that flickered in the light from the toolbox. Olivia Miller, keep an eye on the road, okay? Watch out for cars. The space around them fell into a rhythm of quiet coordination. In the chilly morning air, the only sounds were distant traffic and the occasional laugh from Olivia Miller as she spotted a bird perched nearby. Despite the unexpected difficulty, Ryan stayed patient and focused on the repair. Almost done, he muttered, finally loosening the last lug nut. Olivia Miller jumped up, holding tight to a shiny rock she just found. I'm ready, but Tad, can we keep this rock? It's so pretty. We'll talk about it later, Ryan said, ruffling her hair as she climbed back into the car. Samantha Reed stepped forward, looking hesitant. Her polite exterior wavered slightly as she spoke. I really want to do something to repay you. At least let me treat you and your daughter to lunch. Ryan shook his head firmly. Thank you, but I didn't stop for a reward. I'm just paying it forward. Samantha Reed looked at him, her brow furrowed in a mix of confusion and admiration. Not everyone she met was like Ryan, someone who acted selflessly without expecting anything in return. She pulled out a thin leather notebook from her bag and said, At least give me your number. I'd feel better knowing I have a way to thank you properly someday. Ryan hesitated for a moment, then reached into his pocket, scribbled his number on a scrap of paper, and handed it to her. If you need help and I'm around, just give me a call.
Olivia Miller looked at him curiously. Why didn't you let her pay us, Dad? We could have gotten hot chocolate. Ryan glanced at the rearview mirror, meeting Olivia's wide, curious eyes. Sometimes, sweetheart, there are things you need more than money, like kindness. Samantha Reed sat quietly in her car, her gaze fixed on the piece of paper with Ryan's phone number. Despite her packed schedule, with her phone buzzing nonstop with notifications about the meeting she was late for, she couldn't bring herself to care. She felt like she was living in another world, a world where actions like Ryan's, so genuine and selfless, were rare and precious. She thought about how naturally Ryan had turned down her offer to repay him, without hesitation or any calculations. She was a millionaire, used to people trying to win her over for money, but Ryan was different. Though he was just a struggling single dad, he had done something that not many people could do. He didn't just help her change the tire, he did it with a kindness and patience she rarely encountered in her work and relationships. She didn't quite know what was stirring inside her, but she knew one thing for certain: this man deserved a much bigger opportunity. And in that moment, Ryan Miller's life began to change forever. She smiled softly, her eyes lingering on the scrap of paper with Ryan's phone number, and a strange feeling rose within her. Ryan wasn't just a simple helper. He brought something she never thought she would find in someone as unassuming as him. His small gesture had created a deep connection inside her, making her wonder what she could
Do to repay him, or maybe change something significant in his life. For Ryan, this might have been just a random moment, but for Samantha Reed, it marked the beginning of a change she couldn't fully recognize yet. A new opportunity, with a man she hadn't known long, but felt something special about from the first meeting. For the first time in a long while, Samantha Reed found herself not thinking about deadlines or business deals. As she drove away, she decided to keep Ryan's number. She didn't know when or how, but she was certain she would need it someday. In the weeks following Ryan's help, his life continued to roll along as usual. Work, bills, and taking care of Olivia Miller. Everything continued as small trials and victories, one after the other. But then, one Tuesday evening, after he'd tucked Olivia into bed and sat down with a lukewarm cup of coffee, his phone buzzed. The number wasn't one he recognized, but something about it felt familiar, so he hesitated before answering. "Hello, this is Ryan." "Hi, Ryan. It's Samantha Reed, the woman you helped with the flat tire a few weeks ago." Ryan sat up a little straighter, surprised. "Oh, hi, Samantha Reed. Is everything okay? Did the spare hold up?" "It's fine. Thank you so much, but that's not why I'm calling. I hope I'm not interrupting." "Not at all," Ryan replied, though his voice showed a hint of surprise. He could
Think of a reason why Samantha Reed would be calling after so long. Samantha Reed laughed lightly, a bit embarrassed. "Actually, I've been meaning to call you for a while. You gave me your number, and I wanted to make sure I didn't lose it. I wanted to thank you properly. You took the time to help me that day, and I didn't do enough to show my gratitude." Ryan smiled softly, his tone humble. "Honestly, there's no need for that, Samantha Reed. I'm just happy I could help." "But there is," Samantha Reed insisted gently but firmly. "You see, I've thought about that morning a lot. You barely knew me, yet you stopped right away to help. Most people wouldn't have done that. And, well, I'm in a position where I can repay that kindness, but I want to do it by helping you." Ryan hesitated, unsure of what to say. "Thank you, I really appreciate that, but—" Samantha Reed cut him off, her voice serious. "Please hear me out. When we met that day, I couldn't help but notice how hard you work, especially for your daughter. And I think I have an opportunity that could ease things for you a bit." "An opportunity?" Ryan asked, cautiously but also curious. "Yes," Samantha Reed said, her tone steady but gentle. "I didn't tell you at the time, but I run a company, actually several companies. It's a long story, but the important thing is that I'm in a position to help others when I see the chance, and I see that chance in you. You're clearly a hard-working, talented person, and I think those qualities aren't something you come across every day." Ryan was silent for a moment, processing her words. "Thank you, Samantha Reed, but I don't know what I could offer someone like you. I'm just trying to get by." "That's exactly what I see in you," Samantha Reed replied, her voice soft but firm. "You're doing your best, and that's really clear. Look, I won't take up more of your time on the phone, but I'd like to meet you. I have an idea I think you want to hear." Ryan hesitated, his eyes glancing toward the corner of the room where a small desk sat, piled high with overdue bills.
He thought about Olivia Miller, who had recently asked if they could buy new art supplies for her school project. After a moment of thought, he said, "Okay, I'll listen to what you have to say." Samantha Reed let out a relieved breath. "Great. Are you free this Saturday morning? I can come to you, or we can meet somewhere nearby, whatever is more convenient for you." After a brief exchange, they agreed to meet at a small cafe in town. When Ryan hung up the phone, he couldn't help but feel a mix of nervousness and curiosity. He wasn't sure what Samantha Reed had in mind, but he had a feeling this wasn't just a simple thank you. On Saturday, Ryan arrived at the cafe 10 minutes early. He didn't have anything fancy to wear, but he'd ironed his best shirt and made sure his shoes were clean. A little while later, Samantha Reed walked in, dressed in a simple yet elegant outfit that seemed more approachable than the sharply tailored coat she had worn that day on the road. "Ryan," she greeted him with a warm smile. "Thank you for meeting with me." "Of course," he replied, standing to shake her hand. "I have to admit, I'm curious about what you're going to say." Once they were seated, Samantha Reed got straight to the point. "I won't beat around the bush. I want to offer you a position at one of my companies." Ryan looked at her, stunned. "A position? I don't think I'm qualified for that kind of job." "Let me explain," Samantha Reed said, her voice calm but firm. "You mentioned that you do repair work, right? You clearly have mechanical skills, and I know you're reliable. One of my smaller businesses manages rental properties, mainly apartments, and we need someone who can take responsibility for maintenance and repairs. It's not glamorous work, but it's stable, and it comes with benefits," Samantha Reed added, her tone confident. Ryan was stunned, unable to find the words. You're sure about this?" he stammered. "This really is an opportunity, but I don't know what to say." Samantha Reed reached into her bag and gently placed an envelope on the table. "This is also for you. Consider it a signing bonus or just a small thank you for what you did that day." Ryan hesitated, unsure of what to say. "Thank you. I really appreciate that, but—" Samantha Reed cut him off, her voice serious. "Please, hear me out. When we met that day, I couldn't help but notice how hard you work, especially for your daughter, and I think I have an opportunity. Could ease things for you a bit." "An opportunity?" Ryan asked, cautiously but also curious. "Yes," Samantha Reed said, her tone steady but gentle. "I didn't tell you at the time, but I run a company. Actually, several companies. It's a long story, but the important thing is that I'm in a position to help others when I see the chance. And I see that chance in you. You're clearly a hard-working, talented person, and I think those qualities aren't something you come across every day." Ryan was silent for a moment, processing her words. "Thank you, Samantha Reed, but I don't know what I could offer someone like you. I'm just trying to get by." "That's exactly what I see in you," Samantha Reed replied, her voice soft but firm. "You're doing your best, and that's really clear. Look, I won't take up more of your time on the phone, but I'd like to meet you. I have an idea I think you'll want to hear." Ryan hesitated, his eyes glancing toward the corner of the room where a small desk sat, piled high with overdue bills. He thought about Olivia Miller, who had recently asked if they could buy new art supplies for her school project. After a moment of thought, he said, "Okay, I'll listen to what you have to say." Samantha Reed let out a relieved breath. "Great. Are you free this Saturday morning? I can come to you, or we can meet somewhere nearby, whatever is more convenient for you." After a brief exchange, they agreed to meet at a small cafe in town. When Ryan hung up the phone, he couldn't help but feel a mix of nervousness and curiosity. He wasn't sure what Samantha Reed had in mind, but he had a feeling this wasn't just a simple thank you.
On Saturday, Ryan arrived at the cafe 10 minutes early. He didn't have anything fancy
To wear, but he'd ironed his best shirt and made sure his shoes were clean. A little while later, Samantha Reed walked in, dressed in a simple yet elegant outfit that seemed more approachable than the sharply tailored coat she had worn that day on the road. "Ryan," she greeted him with a warm smile. "Thank you for meeting with me." "Of course," he replied, standing to shake her hand. "I have to admit, I'm curious about what you're going to say." Once they were seated, Samantha Reed got straight to the point. "I won't beat around the bush. I want to offer you a position at one of my companies." Ryan looked at her, stunned. "A position? I don't think I'm qualified for that kind of job." "Let me explain," Samantha Reed said, her voice calm but firm. "You mentioned that you do repair work, right? You clearly have mechanical skills, and I know you're reliable. One of my smaller businesses manages rental properties, mainly apartments, and we need someone who can take responsibility for maintenance and repairs. It's not glamorous work, but it's stable, and it comes with benefits," Samantha Reed added, her tone confident. Ryan was stunned, unable to find the words. You're sure about this?" he stammered. "This really is an opportunity, but I don't know what to say."
Samantha Reed reached into her bag and gently placed an envelope on the table. "This is also for you. Consider it a signing bonus, or just a small thank you for what you did that day." Ryan opened the envelope, his hands trembling slightly. Inside was a check for $10,000. His breath caught in his throat. "Samantha Reed, I can't accept this money." Samantha Reed looked at him firmly. "You can accept it. Think of it as an investment in someone who deserves a chance. You took the time and kindness to help me without expecting anything in return. Now let me do the same for you." Ryan sat in silence, his mind spinning. This wasn't just an opportunity, it was a lifeline. He looked at the check in his hand, feeling a heavy weight pressing on his heart. He couldn't return it to Samantha Reed, but accepting it felt impossible. Ryan sighed, his voice lowering. "Samantha Reed, I don't know what to say. No one's ever done something like this for me before." "You don't need to say anything," Samantha Reed replied, her voice warm and sincere. "Consider it an opportunity, not charity. I believe you can succeed, and I just want to help you get the chance to do that." Ryan nodded slowly, his thoughts still spinning. "It's not that I don't appreciate this, it's just that I don't know if I'm capable. I've never managed properties before. My experience is mostly with odd jobs. What if I mess it up?" Samantha Reed responded confidently. "You won't mess it up. I know you're responsible, and you'll stick with it no matter how hard it gets. That's all I need. Plus, I'll make sure you get the training and support you need." Ryan looked out the window, his gaze following a couple walking their dog. He thought of Olivia Miller, her joyful face, and the growing list of needs he could always meet. He thought of the pile of bills at home and the late nights of stress after long shifts at the diner. For the first time in years, there was a glimmer of hope, but it came with uncertainty. "I'll give it a try," he said finally, his voice quiet but resolute. "I don't know if I'll succeed, but I'll give it everything I've got." Samantha Reed smiled, relief and satisfaction evident on her face. "That's all I could ask for. Thank you, Ryan." They spent the rest of the meeting discussing the details. The job would start in 2 weeks, giving Ryan time to finish his last shifts at the diner and prepare for the new role. Samantha Reed explained that the properties were within a reasonable driving distance and the position came with full health benefits, something Ryan hadn't had in years. Ryan couldn't believe his luck. As they parted ways, he felt a cautious optimism beginning to grow inside him. He didn't fully trust that life could change this quickly, but he decided to seize this opportunity. He carefully slipped the envelope into his jacket pocket, knowing that this money would help him catch up on overdue bills and maybe even buy Olivia Miller the art supplies she wanted. That evening, as he and Olivia Miller sat together at their tiny kitchen table doing her homework, Ryan felt a quiet sense of determination. "Guess what, Olivia Miller?" he said with a smile. "Dad's got a new job." Olivia Miller's eyes widened with excitement. "Really, Dad? What kind of job?" "A better one," Ryan replied. "One that will help us a lot." "Does that mean we'll get pizza on Friday nights again?" Olivia Miller asked, her face lighting up. Ryan smiled, ruffling her hair. "Yes, sweetheart, I think so." 2 weeks later, Ryan started his new job. The first few days were a whirlwind of learning, fixing leaky faucets, patching walls, and handling tenant complaints. There were moments when he felt out of his depth, but each time he thought about giving up, he remembered the trust Samantha Reed had placed in him and the hopeful smile of Olivia Miller. Samantha Reed checked in frequently, always bringing reassurance with her gentle words of encouragement. "How's the job going?" she asked during one of her visits to the property. "Better than I expected," Ryan admitted, wiping his hands after installing a new light fixture. "It's hard work, but it feels good to be doing something that matters." "You're doing great," Samantha Reed said, her smile still gentle, full of encouragement. The tenants began to praise Ryan for his responsiveness and dedication. For the first time in years, Ryan felt proud of his work. His income was steady, the benefits eased his constant worry, and he had even started saving a little. The $10,000 check had helped him pay off bills, fix the radiator in the apartment, buy Olivia Miller new shoes, and the art supplies she needed. They even treated themselves to a small trip to the zoo, something Olivia Miller still talked about every night at dinner. One evening, after finishing a repair on a tenant's stove, his phone buzzed with a message from Samantha Reed. "Just wanted to say you're making a bigger impact than you think. I'm proud of you." Ryan smiled, his heart full of gratitude. He didn't know how to respond, but one thing he knew for sure. Samantha Reed had changed his life. More than that, she had given him the opportunity to believe in himself again. As he packed up his tools and prepared to head home, Ryan thought about the day he stopped to help Samantha Reed on the side of the road. At the time, it had seemed like a small gesture, but it had sparked something much bigger, an unexpected turning point. For the first time in many years, he didn't feel the future weighing him down and terrifying him. It started to feel full of hope and possibility. Months passed, and Ryan's life continued to evolve in ways he never imagined. The job Samantha Reed had offered him wasn't just the job. It had become the foundation for something greater. With each passing day, he grew more confident in his skills and took pride in providing a stable life for Olivia Miller. Although it wasn't always easy, every day at work brought a new challenge for Ryan. There were days when he was exhausted from a broken heater or had to take emergency calls from tenants in the middle of the night. But every time he felt worn out, he remembered the moment that brought him here, a single act of kindness on a cold autumn morning. Samantha Reed remained a steady presence in his life, though never making him feel pressured. They had built a quiet friendship based on mutual respect and an unspoken understanding of the impact they had on each other's lives. As the months passed, Ryan's story from a struggling single father became a tale of growth and resilience, a journey of change, not just materially, but one that ran deep into his soul. The partnership with Samantha Reed continued to flourish, and Ryan and Olivia Miller moved into a modest yet more comfortable home, closer to her school. One day, as Ryan walked Olivia Miller to the bus stop, she suddenly asked, "Do you think you would have met Samantha Reed if her car hadn't broken down?" Ryan smiled, looking down at her. "Probably not. Life works in strange ways, doesn't it, sweetheart?" Olivia Miller nodded thoughtfully. "Just like you always say, One kind act can change everything. Ryan squeezed her hand, his heart full. I agree with you, sweetheart. As the bus slowly turned the corner, Ryan stood on the sidewalk, watching until it disappeared from view. He thought back to that cold autumn morning and the flat tire that had set everything in motion. It was a reminder that even in the hardest moments, a single act of kindness could create ripples, changing lives in ways no one could predict. And in that moment, Ryan felt something he hadn't felt in years, a deep sense of contentment. If you were Ryan, what would you do when faced with a life-changing opportunity full of challenges? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your answer might inspire someone to find motivation in their life. If this story inspired you, don't forget to share it to spread the power of kindness and perseverance. Thank you for watching and supporting. Wishing you strength and find meaning in your journey.
Success on your journey. Thank you so much for your continued support of the channel. We truly appreciate each and every one of you. During the content creation process, there may have been some small mistakes, and we hope you'll kindly overlook them. Wishing everyone happiness, peace, and good health in life. Stay tuned for more. This content is entirely fictional. It is a constructed story based on hypothetical situations and is not related to any individual or organization. All events in the video are intended to provide a multifaceted perspective and have been edited with the assistance of AI. We kindly ask for your understanding in case of any shortcomings. Wishing you good luck, success, and enjoyable moments of entertainment.